Right.
So raise your hand if you have an empty seat next to you. People who are looking for seats, we might have to split you up, but there are available seats. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to Roundabout Books. My name is Julianne, the events manager for the store, sorry. How many of you are here for the first time? Thank you so much for coming to our store, and thank you everyone who this is your multiple time being here. We wouldn't be here without all of you. So we want to take this opportunity to acknowledge that our bookstore resides on the ancestral unceded land of the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs. In our immediate area are also the unceded lands of the Confederate Tribes of Siletz Indians and the Tribes of Grand Ronde. We encourage everyone to learn more about the land we occupy and the story of its peoples. So tonight is our last event of 2022, so thank you for making it such a well-attended event. And I do want to let you know of some of the events we have coming up for 2023. So first, on Tuesday, January 12th, Anthology contributor Catherine Mattingly will be here to talk about her new book, Katya. On January 17th, Josh Savage will present on the second edition of his book, 100 Things to Do in Bend, Oregon Before You Die. It's a good book. We have copies here tonight. So be sure to visit roundaboutbookshop.com for more information about our events and book clubs. Now, I'm so pleased to introduce the project manager of the Central Oregon Writers Guild 2022 Literary Collection, Amy Berlin, who will tell you how this book came to life. Also because I'm on the CAUG board as the publicist, but that doesn't mean a whole lot because you guys do all the work. So please welcome Amy Berlin.
Thank you, Julie. Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. As Julie just shared, my name is Amy Berlin, and I'm the Vice President of the Central Oregon Writers Guild, and I'm also the Project Manager for our 2022 Anthology. And I first want to thank Roundabout Books for hosting us tonight. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your support. Thank you. And I also want to acknowledge all of the contributors who made this book possible. So starting with the Central Oregon Writers Guild Board, I want to thank Mike Cooper, our fearless leader, Julie Farrington, Mary Krakow, Denise Lewis, Trish Wilkinson, Nicole Harris, and Amanda Rose. I'd like to thank our editors, Irene Cooper, Ellen Santacero, Kat Mattingly, Kristen Dorsey, Mike Cooper, Denise Lewis, and Trish Wilkinson. Thank you so much for your time and your hours to making this book possible. And then thank you to Leva Moss of Bright Light Graphics, who designed and helped us to publish our books. We would not be here without her support, and unfortunately she could not be here tonight, but a big thank you to her as well. And really the moment that we're here is to congratulate and celebrate all of our authors, so please join me in congratulating our 37 published authors and our cover artist, Bridget Lewis. And if you're an author, will you please raise your hand? I want to give a behind-the-scenes look into what went into creating our book. So, as you may remember, we opened our submission window in April of 2022. We received 28 submissions for poetry, 25 submissions for fiction, and 14 submissions for nonfiction from 37 writers. We also held a cover art competition where we received 19 submissions of beautiful Central Oregon photography. Next, each writing submission was reviewed by our editorial team and completed into a finalized manuscript, which resulted in 57,000 words or 238 pages once produced. Yes. And then from start to finish, it took us about 9 months to produce the book. And as a reference point, it typically takes 2 years to get published. So again, thank you to all of our volunteers, our board, our editors. We were able to do this in half the time. And we created this book really with the goal of celebrating the amazing writing in our community. And we wouldn't be here tonight without your support and without your commitment to writing. So thank you so much. And we are honored tonight to hear from 6 of our authors who will present their poetry, fiction, and nonfiction from their published work. And after our reading tonight, we will have books available for sale, so you can see Julie for the books. And all of our members will receive a free copy, so please come find me afterwards near the front door to receive your free member's copy. Yes?
All members of the writers group receive a free copy, or all authors who were included in there receive a free copy?
Great question. Yes, let me clarify. All authors who are published in our anthology will receive a free copy. Yes. Okay, great. Well, without further ado, we're going to welcome up our first reader, Krayna Castelbaum. Krayna Castelbaum publishes Poem of the Month and collaborates with other creatives in Central Oregon and beyond. She also instigates monthly poetry and bookmaking play shops that free people to invest energy in creative exploration and self-expression. She's at work on a collection of poetry based on The Sopranos. So let's welcome Krayna, who's going to read 2 poems.
So good to be here. Thank you, Amy. First poem I'm going to read is called Encounter. Is that better?
Yes.
Does that work? Let's see. Okay. Encounter. I stand alone at a bus stop. Blistering heat. No breeze stirs, no sprinklers swish, no mowers hum, just sun-scorched thick silence. My eyes bore into the tired ground below my feet. A sudden chill forces my head to lift. Across the street, beside a white house with white curtains, in the tall weeds of a forsaken yard, stands my father, whose ashes rest in a jet black container on a shelf in my mother's hall closet. He stares at me, blank-faced. Something in me tilts. I stare back, stunned that I'm not glad to see him again. Eyes locked on mine, he strides toward me slowly, then picks up speed, drab gray coattails flying behind him, arms flapping up and down, quiet as a dark-winged owl taking flight. I'm stiff as a tree limb encased in ice. A thought explodes in my mind. He's going to crash into me. But my father, or whatever this is, blows through me, leaving behind nothing but a disturbance of air on my bone-cold skin. Second poem is called Bewilderment for Lucky. Canine Companion in Memoriam, August 2003 to May 2019. When finally I surrendered all effort to fathom how we can love beyond measure what cannot last, my heart rolled, a child at play in newly mown grass, rolled and rolled in green promise upon a sea of crimson petals, fragrant with the lush scent of spring peas.
Beautiful, thank you, Krayna. Next, we will welcome Lynda Sather. Lynda Sather lived and played all over Alaska while managing public relations for the Fairbanks School District and Alaska Pipeline Service Company. Now retired, she splits her time between Fairbanks and Central Oregon, aka Alaska Light. She is thankful to the Central Oregon Writers Guild for encouraging and supporting her writer addiction. Let's welcome Lynda Sather, who will read her fiction piece, Query Hell.
So how many of you have experienced query hell? Last fall, I finally finished the novel begun 5 years and 1,000 miles ago, before my son left for college and my husband left for another woman. Writing in the solitude of my new home was a dream. Now I'm trying to get it published. What a nightmare. I'm supposed to find a literary agent by perusing websites to find one whose field of interest matches my great Alaska novel. Yeah, right. I've spent as much time on my query letter as on the entire 350-page novel. Instead of getting an agent, all I've gotten is depressed. Every morning I play a little game. Would I rather clean the toilet or compose a query letter? Sweep under the bed or send a query? Cull expired food from the pantry or, well, you get it. Unfortunately, the bathroom is now spotless, the dust bunnies vanquished, and let's just say food poisoning isn't on the menu anytime soon. I'm sitting at my desk, not looking out the window, wondering if the hummingbird will fly to check out the magenta net. Unfortunately, the bathroom is now spotless, the dust bunnies vanquished, and let's just say food poisoning isn't on the menu anytime soon. I'm sitting at my desk and not looking out the window, wondering if the hummingbird will fly by to check out the magenta bougainvillea. I am not thinking about what to have for dinner, stir fry with chicken, or how little is left in the checking account, $229.50. Perusing the list of potential agents, I can tell most of them are millennials. They have to be, with names like Jessica, Ashley, and Jennifer. Half the names that should have a Y at the end have a double E. Mary, Lindsay, Emily. If the name should end with an E, it's been changed to Y. Jackie, Katie, Leslie. There's a Chloe, which rhymes with bok choy, which maybe I should put in my stir fry tonight. Or did I throw it out? Anyway, Cindy, C-Y-N-D-E-E, with both a Y and 2 E's, is obviously confused. I'm not querying her. Candy, with 2 E's. That spurs me to investigate the freezer, where a bag of M&Ms left from Halloween still lurks. With the taste of chocolate now melting in my mouth, not in my hands, I return to the desk. Anne, Anna, Anna, Annie, even an Annie, A-N-N-E-E. I kid you not. And where are the mail agents? Off writing wine labels, I guess. Whimsical yet weighty, with a whiff of plum, underscoring an insouciant blend of herbs, married to a boldly flavored, well-crafted, yet lush textured Cabernet. Is it too early in the day to start drinking? Some of the agents think they can fool me with their unisex name, Jordan, Carrie, Kelly, but I know. I've studied their photos. Very few, male or female, look over 30. What happened to the seasoned agents who might actually connect with my story? Buried in their deluge of queries, I suspect. If these young agents would spend more time reading my submission and less time inventing silly ways to spell their name, I would probably be published by now. But wait, maybe I would have more luck if I changed the spelling of my name from plain old Lynda with a Y to Lynda with a Y. Or Lindy with 2 E's, maybe even a Y, L-Y-N-D-E-E. Yes, and maybe I would have more luck if instead of trying to publish the great Alaskan novel, I wrote what these millennials want. I open a blank document, pour myself a glass of wine, and begin writing with renewed resolve. Once upon a time, in an urban gothic paranormal alternative universe, there was a marginalized, neurodivergent, hope punk transvestite vampire fleeing a drug cartel's animatronic drones while enlisting dolphins to help him or it search for the utopian kingdom of Atlantis, rumored to be the last remaining bastion of dark chocolate in the galaxy. Hey, wait, a hummingbird.
Lynda, to answer your question, it's never too early to start drinking in the day. Next, we will welcome Niki Rainwater. Niki Rainwater, then resident of 17 years, is the author of recently published children's story, Rosie Rides the River. Her writing is inspired by her travels through rural Asia, Europe, and North America. Among the publications her work has appeared in are Northwest Crossing Living and Copperfield's books, The Dickens. Let's please welcome Niki Rainwater, who will read her nonfiction piece, My Uterus is in the Fridge.
Thought of saying the word uterus in front of so many people.
But you've done it.
Now I did it. Now I can start reading. There is something poetic about the pathology building's location, adjacent to the beauty college. Maybe it's the painkillers talking. Two men standing outside stop their conversation to watch as we pull into a front row parking space. Civilian visitors are not a common occurrence, it seems. Can I help you? One of the men asks as he opens the main entrance door. Yes, I answer almost giddily from behind a mandatory surgical mask. I'm here to pick up my uterus. I've been waiting a week to say this out loud. I even practiced in the car. My adult son grins. I search the man's face for shock, disgust, joviality. Instead, the man pauses and, with a thoughtfulness I wasn't expecting, says, I'll go and get just the right person to help you with that. Then he disappears behind a pair of stainless steel doors. A lifetime total of 3 careers and 17 jobs. I've been just the right person exactly twice, and I've just quit one of those. My kindergarten class and my womb gone in the same week. They think I'm nuts, don't they? I ask my son, who dutifully answers, of course not, Mom. That grin again. My no-nonsense, medical-minded daughter called ahead to arrange the pickup while I sat beside her on the porch, abdomen cradled in pillows. A cheerful young woman emerges from the double doors, carrying a small manila envelope. Does this happen often, I ask her, people coming in to reclaim their organs? Oh, you'd be surprised, she says. We both laugh. She hands me a clipboard to sign, then looks for my approval before handing my son the envelope. My first home, he says, receiving the package with delicate. A whip-quick sense of humor is only one of a million things I love about my children. Are you okay, Mom? My son asks from the driver's seat. I'm okay, honey. My uterus is hermetically sealed in plastic. We examine it closely with fascination and wonder. It looks like something you might find in a kosher deli. My uterus is in the fridge, I say aloud at every opportunity. I mean, how often does a woman get to say this? And the phrase amuses my liberal and conservative friends equally. My 87-year-old father, too, and that is saying something. A hot August Saturday finds my teacher colleagues setting up their classrooms. I enter mine, pack up my things, and say goodbye. Today is a good day for a burial. I place clipped greenery inside the soft, deep bed my son has dug in the lawn. I hold the pouch to my heart and weep. I pour my uterus into the earth and thank her for carrying 2 remarkable humans to safety, and for the 2 she could not. We covered her with a blanket of flowers culled from gifted bouquets. The sun rests but a moment on the horizon and sighs. My tears become nectar for the hummingbirds.
That was delightful, thank you. Next, we will welcome David Cook. Retired from a career in academia, David Cook now writes poems and short stories about the real world in fiction, often from an unexpected perspective. He tends to probe the present and the future with a touch of irony and humor. Please welcome David Cook, who will be reading his fiction piece, Smith Rock 2121.
Born in the year of the great pandemic. My parents left the country the following year. All my life I've heard about the natural beauty. Is that better? Okay. All my life I've heard about the natural beauty of my birth homeland, but I've never seen it. My grandchildren booked me on this excursion to Central Oregon, the place of my beginning, on the occasion of my 100th birthday. The plane is in the landing phase now, and I can see below me a great, straight, 8-lane highway, occupied with bumper-to-bumper traffic. On each side of the highway, as far as I can see, are buildings, parking lots, and houses. This must be the great Metroplex Brett, B-R-E-T-T, a name the brochure describes as having been derived by combining the names of the farming towns of Bend, Redmond, Tumalo, and Terrebonne. The airport is reported to be one of the busiest in the nation, and it takes forever to get through customs. I board my tour van and we make our way to the complex of airport parking lots and finally merge heading north onto the 8-lane highway I had seen earlier from the air. The driver explains that our first stop, before he drops us off at our hotels, will be the famous Smith Rock. Even though it is now dark, I see a glow on the horizon in front of us. As we get closer to the glow, I can make out what appears to be a tall, elongated cliff, the face of which is covered with pulsating colored lights. The driver pays an entrance fee and we park directly across in the lighted cliff face. From here I can see the pulsating lights. I can see from a distance outline the track of a roller coaster that careens and loops around the top and face of the cliff. Even over the din of the music, I can hear the passengers scream as the roller coaster cars descend rapidly in a steep dive. The pulsating lights, I can now tell, are keeping time with the rock music that's so loud I can feel it vibrating through my bones. I wonder, somewhat sarcastically, if this is why they call it Smith Rock. I walk up to the railing and look down at a brightly illuminated river canyon, both banks of which are covered with a slightly elevated floor. The near floor is a dance floor, packed with gyrating bodies, keeping time to the music. The far floor is a lounge area adorned with lighted signs featuring various craft beers. An uncovered walkway connects the two. My gaze moves to the dark ribbon between, the river itself. I stare vacantly at the scene before me. I had envisioned my homeland somewhat differently. But what should I have expected? Things do change in 100 years.
go with this, David. Thank you. Thank you, David. I hope Smith Rock I hope I live long enough to see your Smith Rock. Okay, great. Next, we will welcome Jennifer Delahunty. Jennifer Delahunty is a Sisters-based writer whose work has appeared in the New York Times, Blue Mesa Review, Ben Magazine, and Fourth Genre, among others. She has taught at the University of Arizona, where she earned her MFA, and at Kenyon College, where she also served as Dean of Admissions. Please welcome Jennifer Delahunty, who will be reading her nonfiction piece, 19 Candles.
This is not the cheery part of our program, I have to say. 19 Candles, Living with Fire. On the day I moved to Central Oregon 8 summers ago, I counted the ponderosas in my new front yard. 19 60-foot tall ponderosas close to my house. On that July moving day, the sky had an otherworldly glow, and I could taste the air, acrid, smoke-soaked. I had been gone from Central Oregon for a dozen years, and neither the bitter smell of the air nor the blood orange sky registered as familiar. While I have lived in this forest-rich place in the late 1990s, fire, smell, and sky were new to me. For my return to Central Oregon, I chose to live in Sisters, an old logging town which was devastated by fire in the previous century. California's 2018 Paradise Fire got our attention. Paradise was a picturesque mountain town, just like ours. Still, the idea of our little village going up in smoke sounded like an abstraction, something not likely to happen, right? Or so we hope, but evidence accumulates. On Labor Day 2020, my family and I had been scheduled to go to the Opal Creek Forest Center off Santiam Pass and stay in a rustic cabin sheltered by old-growth Douglas firs. An email from the center stated there was a small fire, about 400 acres, up the valley, but it was under control. Still, they said, they would need to cancel our visit out of caution. No amount of caution was enough to keep this very same place from burning to the ground within days of that email. But I get ahead of my story. With our long weekend's plans canceled, we instead cobbled together a backyard picnic in Sisters. The sunflowers in the vase on the table were from my garden. Halfway through lunch, they quivered slightly, then threatened to tip over. The wind was picking up, shifting, blowing from the east. The east? That hardly ever happens here. We looked up and watched the white clouds overhead flow in this uncommon direction. Our napkins flew off the table. As the winds grew to 40, then 50 miles per hour, the nearby Green Ridge Fire and the Beachy Creek Fire, the small fire that canceled our holiday plans, bloomed and moved west. My daughter left the picnic and drove over the Santiam Pass to her home in Portland. We weren't worried yet. Just south of the Opal Creek Forest Center, where we would have been staying, she shot a video through her windshield. It was shocking, an entirely crimson sky, pulsing like neon. Minutes later, officials closed the road and the conflagration moved through like a high-speed train, destroying homes, melting vehicles, and killing people. The tires on my daughter's car had to have been hot. Suburbs close to Portland prepared to evacuate. Over the next couple of weeks, 3 major fires totaling 400,000 acres consumed a large swath of the Willamette and Jefferson National Forests, including the Opal Creek Forest Center. These fires burned until the snow fell in October. Had the winds blown that Labor Day from west to east, as they normally do, my house and the entire town of Sisters would have been most likely toast. This is the mathematics of fire in the American West. Spark plus wind equals inferno. Ironically, the east side of the Cascades, this parched and fire-raped area, is booming like so much of the West. Just down the road from me, the city of Bend now appears on USA Today maps, having busted through the 100,000 population threshold. In recent years, the whole area has gone wild. Houses being bought by cash-out Californians for $100,000 over asking. The new owners not even flushing the toilets before plunking down their dough. Since the pandemic began, Bend has been declared both a boom town and a Zoom town by national news sources. Bend is aptly named as it has twisted and morphed since being founded in the early 1900s. After the lumber boom went bust in the 1970s, Bend civic leaders installed a bronze statue on a downtown street of a man sitting on a park bench, leaning on his thighs, opening his wallet. This little town suffered mightily for several decades until tourism moved in. An extinct volcano, Mount Bachelor became a popular ski resort. Golf courses, mountain biking trails, and zip lines followed. Today, Lamborghinis circle the parking lots of the private schools in town. Changes in this part of Central Oregon are emblematic of what is happening across the entire western U.S. So much money, not enough rain, the affluent masses seeking a slice of natural beauty, erecting their slant-roofed, energy-efficient homes to frame a view of the jutting mountains. I live in a small, low-ceilinged cabin from the late 70s with no air conditioning nor mountain views. I live with that cluster of ponderosas in my front yard, my 19 tapers, towering torches that remain unlit for the moment. Why I live here? It's a fair question, but I don't have to dig deep for answers. The intoxicating whiff of juniper after a rain, the brazenness of the winter sun, urgent mountain streams of snowmelt, chanterelles poking through the volcanic duff of a September forest floor. Quite simply, I live here because it's where I feel most at home in the world. The summer after the Beachy Creek fire, I was visiting my sisters, all of whom had the good sense to stay put in the Midwest. Minnesota was awash in vibrant green, though it too had lower than average rainfall. I found the deciduousness intoxicating. On a cool June morning, I received a text and several calls from neighbors. There's a fire near your house, my friend said. I'm bringing over a trailer. Make a list, and we'll take all the stuff off your property. This friend had done the same thing twice for her parents when they lived in Black Butte Ranch, a development not far from mine. Her parents had evacuated their property twice in 30 years. This was the previous generation's experience of fire. This was the second summer out of 7 where nearby fires had me zipping my go bag. After the call, I sat on the back step of my sister's home and pecked my list of keepsakes out on my phone. While I was more than 1,500 miles away, my helpful friends hauled my things out of my house and drove the trailer off-site. About 100 houses a mile from mine were in full-on evacuation, the residents sleeping in the school gym. My neighborhood was next to be vacated. Our generous governor opened the funding spigot and got 800 firefighters on the ground immediately. They contained the fire within the week. She couldn't afford to lose that many Democrats, joked one neighbor. When I returned home from my Midwestern vacation, my friend asked, why don't we just leave your stuff in the trailer for the rest of the summer? Is this what life has come to in the West? As climate change moves front and center and our past forest practices prove their failure, Central Oregon has gone from timberland to tinderland. Is it inevitable that my 19 front yard candles will burn? If so, do I leave now before fire takes it all? Or is the risk of living here until then worth the rewards? And then I ask the unutterable question, am I on the brink of becoming a climate vagabond just like millions across the globe? I feel a bit like the bronzed man on the park bench in downtown Bend, opening not my wallet but my heart to see if I have enough love and courage to remain in Central Oregon. Thank you.
Jennifer, for sharing your story and for the reminder of what we're all living with now in Central Oregon. Our last reader tonight is Ted Virts. Ted Virts retired to Bend on his daughter's recommendation. She mentioned since he was old and still played outside, doctors were available for predictable injuries or ailments. Gets me every time, Ted. Thus assured, Ted spends his time biking, riding, and playing ukulele. He enjoys his wife's friendship and her strange new interest in birding. Please, let's welcome Ted to Read Free Compass.
This work? Just to be honest, my wife, besides loving birds, loves plants. This is called The Obstetrician of Iris. Each morning, Eager leaves stand at attention, reaching for touch. When the light is right, she approaches, sensing, assessing the promise. She offers a tender touch, a kind caress, a soft sigh. Each day, hopeful waiting repeats until the light is right, the blossom, the delight. Every now and then I'll read a newspaper headline that says maybe something that they didn't intend. This was in The Guardian a year ago fall. The U.S. has a silent pig pandemic at its door once again. The warning came yesterday. A silent pig pandemic at our door again. We didn't answer last time. Did we not hear? Wilbur has no word for his friend Charlotte and her web. There are no squeals of delight. There is no objection to porcine body shaming. They pig out in monastic meditation. Mud baths are silent. The march to market is stoic. Many morosely remain home. They just eat their roast beef. Or tongue-tied, have none. No cries of we. Quiet cringing to the wolf's huffing and puffing. No pronouncements from the poke. They are smart, no doubt, voluntarily drinking to excess, unable to comment to their drinking buddies, human or snouted. They only gesture at their truffle finds. We bring home the bacon. They have nothing to say. This is park bench. Jesus sits on the park bench. He looks at fall colors, splendid this year, and feels at one with the universe. He does that a lot. I walk up. Can I join you? Sure, of course, he says. What should I call you? Jay is fine, he says. That's my brother's name. I know, he says. I say, do you mind a few questions? If you must, I don't mind, really. Thanks. I'm not sure what to think about you. Son of God? Judge of heaven and earth? Wizard? Brother? Friend? Just call me Jay, he says. So what am I to do? Worship? Keep kosher? Kill the infidel? Hope things are okay now between your dad and us? I'm confused, I say. Jesus looks at me. He says, I love these fall colors. Don't you think they're beautiful?
Thank you, Ted. I think pig poetry is my new favorite genre. And that concludes our reading tonight. Thank you to all of our authors. And again, thank you to all of our authors who are in our anthology. This is a huge achievement. And so I want to congratulate you once again. We have Mr. Cooper himself, who's going to give us some closing statements and some fun tidbits for what's to come for the Guild.
So, thank you. Can you all hear me? No. No, can you hear me? Good. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for supporting the Central Oregon Writers Guild. Thank you for supporting Roundabout Books. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for having us. I appreciate this. Thank you to all 37 authors. And, that's pretty impressive to have 37 authors published in this here book. The book itself is very impressive too. Amy is our newest board member. We've been talking about doing an anthology for a couple of years, and then we brought Amy on and said, oh, by the way, worked out pretty well because Amy has project managing skills. So within a week, we were getting spreadsheets and Google Docs and action plans. And I want to give you a big round of applause. I sure as hell wasn't going to do it. So But also lots of help from Julie Swearingen, the tech involved in this, getting, what was that thing even called? I don't even know.
Oh, well, just the submission process.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. So, and the board, Nicole, I saw you sneak in here, thank you. Mary, Denise, Trish, all the editors that we have here, all of the wonderful, as I said, the wonderful authors. I'm super impressed, and we will be definitely doing this again next year. So you get to rest for a couple of weeks.
It's gonna be easier the second
Yeah,
time.
hopefully it'll be easier the second time. So yeah, the mission of Central Oregon Writers Guild, which I'll have to read because it's longer than I can remember. Central Oregon Writers Guild's mission is to provide Central Oregon area writers a forum for mutual support and education through meetings, annual events, and workshops. Our goal is to advance growth and success for individual writers of all genres and skill levels. And I think we're accomplishing that, and we were a little lean through the pandemic years, but I think we're coming back, and we're meeting in person at the library once a month. We have our final meeting of the year next Tuesday, a week from today, which is our holiday potluck and member reading. So we got to hear 6 great readers tonight. We're going to have, I think, 10 more. I wish I could have had all 37 of our authors read tonight. But come to the meeting next week, to the holiday party at 5:30 at the library on Tuesday the 13th, right? If you're not a Central Oregon Writers Guild member, it's super easy to join. It's only $25 a year, which is $2.08 a month. Right? Yeah, that's pretty cheap, right? We've been putting together some stuff for next year. We've got 4 workshops lined up. I think we've got a dozen great presenters. So, our meetings happen once a month. On the second Tuesday, we do a presentation, Q&A, usually a craft or publishing presentation, and it's been great stuff, and it's a great bunch of people, and it's great. Community is important in writing. We have those of you who are writers probably know this, that sort of what Lynda was talking about, going and getting the M&Ms out of the freezer, is the more go-to thing than to do the writing. But when you're in community, you all, the rising tide floats all boats sort of thing. So it's good to be in with a bunch of like-minded people. And again, thank you all for coming. And so we're handing out books to authors, right?
So if you're an author picking up your copy as a contributor,